The four horsemen of the apocalypse have challenged the imagination of every generation since the end of the first century. Moving relentlessly across history, they wield great destructive power over humanity. But are these ominous riders relevant in the 21st century, with an eye on the human condition? In the 6th chapter of the biblical book of Revelation, Jesus Christ opens a prophetic scroll, sealed in 7 places. As each seal is broken open, specific conditions and events prophesied to affect the entire world are revealed. Galloping free from the restriction of the first 4 seals are individually colored horses and their threatening riders. And I looked, and behold, a white horse. He who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went out conquering and to conquer. This vision reveals specific images, symbols of something intended to help readers understand coming events. The first rider carries a bow and wears a crown. The original Greek says a laurel wreath, the ancient symbol of a conquering victor. But what does it all mean? This horseman has often been confused with the returning Christ, described in chapter 19 of the same book, because he also rides a white horse. Many believe that the first rider pictures the gradual triumph of organized Christian religion beginning 2,000 years ago. But Revelation 19 reveals a different individual than chapter 6. The returning Christ is dressed in a robe stained with blood, wearing multiple crowns. The Greek is diadems, not a laurel wreath. He is accompanied by angelic beings on white horses, and his weapon is the sword of his mouth, not a bow. The obvious differences between the 2 images suggest that the first of the 4 horsemen represents a counterfeit or false Messiah. And this is exactly what we find in the explanation that Jesus himself gave to his disciples more than 60 years before this vision, as he told them about the future progression of world conditions. The disciples asked, "What will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" Jesus first warned that events seeming to indicate the end is imminent do not necessarily mean that it is. He said, "Take heed that no one deceives you." Then he added the first global condition to be aware of. "For many will come in my name, saying, 'I am the Christ,' and will deceive many." In a parallel account, the same deceivers claim, "I am he." Jesus' warning here about not being fooled parallels the first broken seal in the book of Revelation. He clearly identifies the white horse and its rider. People who claim to be the anointed one are false messiahs, men who counterfeit the future role of the true returning Christ. A counterfeit is not easy to spot. It's so close that it could be the real thing, except to the trained eye. So Jesus warned against being deceived by human beings who claim to be the Messiah. That's to say, specially chosen and anointed by God to rule. Such people present themselves as the only ones who can solve all problems. Deceit comes in many forms, and the counterfeit white horseman will continue to ride until he's vanquished by Christ at his coming.
Michael Vorse coming to you from Rome, where we are here covering the so-called Synod on the Youth, and where it is becoming increasingly clear, not just clear, but obvious, that the point of this synod is the normalization of homosexuality in the church. In fact, this has been the plan all along. Cardinal George Pell even pointed that out back in the 2014 Extraordinary Synod on the Family. But underlying all of this is what Archbishop Vigano correctly identified as the homosexual current in the church, and specifically here at the Vatican. James Martin appeared on the scene announcing unprecedented sign of hope for gays. Other Vaticanistas called it an earthquake and beyond remarkable, and it was. Every homo cleric in the church got the message. The time had come, at last, to have the church bless sodomy in the name of charity and mercy and justice. And 4 years later, almost to the day, these same sodomite clergy have assembled again, this time using children and young people as their cover, to look like and pretend they are listening to the young. They will produce an already determined, likely already written document, vote on it, and then declare the church has changed not necessarily the official teaching, but in every other way conceivable. And then Pope Francis will more than likely produce some statement or document, and then the gay cabal here at the Vatican will assert that all this evil is the work of the Holy Spirit, and they'll continue to advance homosexual clerics, they'll cover for their evil, they'll refuse to answer or even query any media questions, they'll work on producing a fake investigation, they'll attack victims as they pretend to care for them, and they'll allow good, mostly young priests to be completely plowed under by their homosexualist bishops and superiors. Exactly 46 years ago today, to the day, the U.S. Supreme Court authorized the mass extinction of tens of millions of preborn children, cloaking the genocide in a made-up out of thin air alleged right to privacy. That right to privacy then went on to hatch even more destruction against the family, natural law, and so forth. One of the big issues it gave birth to was, again, a never-before-heard-of right to sodomite marriage. Well, those two issues linked arms and joined forces a few days ago in a Catholic setting as two homosexual men stood in front of a parish just before Sunday Mass with their little boy, Cohen, and presented a syrupy presentation about just how normal they are and how completely ordinary their situation is. More to the point, they waxed on about how the parish was so welcoming and accepting and how wonderful all the people in it were. They were inspired to start going there regularly because on an earlier trip they had seen a lesbian couple bringing up the gifts and being all warmly accepted. At the end of their 7-minute presentation, rife with heresy, they received a standing ovation from the warm, friendly, accepting Church of Nice parishioners who just ate it all up. What the latest crisis in the church has caused is the dropping of all pretenses. Just like Trump's presence on the political scene has caused all issues and agendas to be brought into the light, so too the newest scandal of cover-ups and lies in the church has focused the white-hot spotlight exactly where it needs to be burning, the sodomitic filth in the ranks of the clergy. And none other than Father James Martin, clerical gay cheerleader himself, has openly admitted that first, there are loads of gay priests, he says thousands, but add to that he is now on record at talks and conferences as publicly stating that Pope Francis is deliberately appointing sodomy-friendly bishops and cardinals and even names like Supich in Chicago and Tobin in Newark as two examples.
Pope Francis welcomed top officials of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to the Vatican March 9th, the day before the officials inaugurated their first temple in the city of Rome. Present at the meeting was Russell M. Nelson, president of the LDS Church.
We talked about our mutual concern for the people who suffer throughout the world. We want to relieve human suffering. We talked about the importance of religious liberty, the importance of the family, our mutual concern for the youth of the church, for the secularization of the world, and the need for people to come to God and worship Him, pray to Him, and have the stability that faith in Jesus Christ will bring to their lives.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is changing its stance on a previous LGBTQ policy. In a statement Thursday, church leaders said they will now allow children of same-sex couples to participate in certain religious ceremonies like baptisms and blessings without having to get official approval first. The church will also stop treating those couples as apostates, meaning they'll no longer be subject to excommunication. The move reverses a 2015 policy that prompted criticism from some church members and LGBTQ activists. Church leaders say one of the reasons for the reversal is, quote, to reduce hate and contention.
La mayor parte de los habitantes del planeta se declaran creyentes Esto debería provocar un diálogo entre las religiones. No debemos dejar de orar por él y colaborar con quienes piensan distinto.
Confío en Buda.
Creo en Dios.
Creo en Jesucristo.
Creo en Dios, Alá.
Muchos piensan distinto, sienten distinto, buscan a Dios o encuentran a Dios de diversa manera. En esta multitud, en este abanico de religiones, hay una sola certeza que tenemos para todos. Todos somos hijos de Dios.
Creo en el amor.
Creo en el amor.
Creo en el amor.
Creo en el amor.
Confío en vos para difundir mi petición de este mes. Que el diálogo sincero entre hombres y mujeres de diversas religiones conlleve frutos de paz y justicia. Confío en tu oración.
This Taiwanese group met with Pope Francis after his general audience. They are a delegation made up of mainly the Buddhist Federation and Taiwan Conference on Religion and Peace. During that meeting, Venerable Yin Yao, chairman of the Buddhist Association, presented this statue to the Pope. It is a Guanyin Bodhisattva. It is highly venerated in Chinese Buddhism, believing she intercedes and protects them from disasters. The Taiwan Conference on Religion and Peace also presented the Pope these books to inform him what their organization has been doing these last 2 decades to overcome misunderstandings of different religions. The group came to Rome to engage in religious dialogue and help promote peace across the world.
With the Pope, we hope to actually bring about world peace, bring together the Christian and Islam as well, all religion in the world working together, because we believe that nowadays it's time for religion to be more proactive.
We like to come to here to visit the Pope and to express our wish for the peace among religions and also the world peace.
Pope Francis often called for peace among religions and across the world. In January 2019, during his trip to United Arab Emirates, he signed Human Fraternity for World Peace and Living Together, along with the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar. He had this to say during his meeting with Buddhists as well as other religious leaders in Assisi in 2016 as a part of the World Day of Prayer for Peace.
Diverse sono le nostre tradizioni religiose, ma la differenza non è per noi motivo di conflitto, di polemica o di freddo distacco. Oggi non abbiamo pregato gli uni contro gli altri, come talvolta è purtroppo accaduto nella storia. Senza sincretismi e senza relativismi abbiamo invece pregato gli uni accanto agli altri.
This delegation from Taiwan hope Pope Francis can come to their country to help promote their cause for peace. If he goes, he would be the first Pope to visit Taiwan.
A victory for hundreds of activists who came to celebrate a historic vote for Asia. Moments earlier in the Taiwanese parliament, politicians passed a law making Taiwan the first Asian country to legalize same-sex marriage. Outside, there were scenes of joy and relief.
Today's a very significant day to us because we could finally pass a law. We've been fighting for this change since for 5 years for me personally, before I even had children. And now that I do, it means even more.
I think that only by gaining legal rights can you make people acknowledge that this group of people exists. That's why this vote is essential.
The debate surrounding gay marriage has been at the heart of Taiwanese politics for the last 2 years. In May 2017, judges ruled that it was unconstitutional to prevent such marriages, but opposition groups fought to prevent a law from being passed, a thorn in the government's side, despite the legislation being one of the president's key campaign pledges. On Twitter, Taiwan's president said the country had taken a big step towards equality. Over the last 10 years, Taiwan has been one of Asia's most progressive countries in terms of gay rights. It's also the organizer of the continent's biggest gay pride parade.
polls Mayor Pete Buttigieg. In a new Quinnipiac poll, he's ahead of Cory Booker, Amy Klobuchar, and nearly a dozen other Democratic contenders for the White House, many of whom are well known on the national stage. Buttigieg is now talking about his faith openly as a gay Episcopalian. Vanessa Yurkevich is out front.
Good stuff.
Pete Buttigieg wants Democrats to reclaim the faith.
I think we've just been too susceptible to this path where the right has tried to claim religion as though it's a partisan cause.
Buttigieg, the 37-year-old mayor of South Bend, Indiana, a Democrat, Afghan veteran, and Episcopalian, married his husband in their church last year.
We're very mindful that a day like this was not even possible not very long ago.
Now, exploring a run for the White House, he told CNN's Van Jones his faith and family keep him grounded.
You know, the imagery of Christ when the divine comes to earth.
This is Keep the Faith Ministry News. I'm Hal Mayer. The Walt Disney Company is embracing LGBT Pride Month for the first time ever and hosting a gay pride parade in its Disneyland Paris park in France. The massive corporation has been moving toward a more liberal approach to sexual identity over the last decade, but the Magical Pride Parade, set to take place on June 1, 2019, is the first time the Disney parks have openly embraced and endorsed the shift. The event will take place right at the beginning of Global Pride Month, June, and will feature a magical March of Diversity parade, reportedly involving DJs, live music, performances, and themed photo opportunities for visitors to the Disneyland Paris park, according to QWERTY. Gay pride events in Disney parks are not new. The Magical Pride celebration has been an unofficial event at Disney Paris since 2014. Disney parks located in the United States, Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida, and Disneyland in Anaheim, California, have both hosted unofficial LGBT events, including Gay Days, an unofficial weekend celebration for gay couples and same-sex parents. The first Gay Days celebration took place in the mid to late 2000s. In the late 2000s, LGBT groups also began chartering Disney cruises. Disney has been inching closer to a cultural shift over the last decade, slowly incorporating openly LGBT characters into its television shows and animated features, including an LGBT background character in Frozen. The upcoming Disney live-action film Jungle Cruise, based on the Disney Parks attraction of the same name, will feature the first openly gay character in a Disney live-action feature, though the character in question will be played by a straight actor, will embrace some unsavory stereotypes of gay culture. But the decision to make a shift in theme park operation by recognizing Disneyland Paris's Pride celebration may be driven more by profit than any commitment to social justice. Both Gay Days and the LGBT-specific cruises are major draws for Disney. Gay Days typically pull in more than 150,000 gay and lesbian visitors to Walt Disney World theme park in Florida alone, making it, according to the event's official Facebook page, one of the single largest pride-related gatherings in the world. But the Disney theme parks have, until recently, been less than accommodating to unofficial events, keeping Gay Days and other LGBT-specific celebrations mostly at arm's length. Last year, though, Disney began the process of cashing in. The Walt Disney World theme park debuted a collectible pair of Gay Pride rainbow-colored souvenir Mickey Mouse ears, just before Gay Days. In Anaheim, California, Disneyland unofficially celebrated Gay Days with rainbow-themed food including a rainbow frosted Mickey Mouse shaped puffed rice treat and a rainbow cake, which guests could buy by the slice. When the rainbow-colored merchandise sold well at Walt Disney World, the Disney company rolled out a similar line of items for Disneyland's celebration, including themed t-shirts, mugs, pins, and headbands. Likewise also as it was in the days of Lot. Luke 17, verse 28. This is Keep the Faith Ministry News. Thank you for watching.
But as the days of Noe were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noe entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Likewise also, as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven, and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed.
Why does he weep? Because though he knows the future, the pain in the present is real, and his love moves him to weep with those that weep. And Jesus realizes the time is coming closer. The end is near. He's grieving and he's hurting.